Hello, welcome to Browns Down Range with Robert Lynn and local celebrity David Heekin. How you doing, David?
I'm wonderful, Robert. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate
Awesome. Thanks for coming and visiting us today. I just wanted to kind of touch base with you and talk about you. Your background. We're friends, see you around and know you pretty well, but still kind of got some questions. What was childhood like?
What makes David Heekin tick?
What makes you? Where'd you grow up? Brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so born and raised here in Jacksonville, and one of 6 kids, and went to Bishop Kenny High School, wrestled, played football, mostly sat on the bench in
Middle,
football.
oldest, youngest?
So it's weird. It's like my parents had 3, and I was the third, so I was the youngest for a while. Then they waited about 8 years and banged out another 3 kids. So youngest, now I'm a middle, so maybe that's why I'm so messed up in the head. I don't know.
A little bit of both, huh?
And fun fact, I've got my older sister is an Irish twin, which for 3 days out of the year we're the same age. They weren't messing around. So all 3, while my dad it was still in college, right? They got married very young. But great childhood, very loving, supportive family, big family, Irish Catholic on both sides, McNamara's, and lots of cousins always doing family stuff. And went away to the University of Florida for 8 wonderful years. Did 4 years, got a Bachelor's of Science in Business, and then got into law school, which would have been 3 years. And about halfway through law school, somebody said, "Hey, did you know that you can extend your stay by another year and pick up an MBA?" And I was like, "How do I do that?" So I ran off, and after 8 years, UF was finally like, "You got to go." University of Florida. Well, he only paid for undergrad. I footed the bill for the graduate years, so finally had paid those off. But I would trade for the world. It was a great time, and I used the MBA degree as much or more as I used the law degree, right? And because I'm mostly on running the business side of Landmark now, and I've been out of the closing table for years. It's not the closing room. It's not where I should be at this point. But got married and had 4 kids of my own. I've got a 23-year-old, a 20-year-old, and then I've got 2 that are still in the house, a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old. And that's been fun, raising kids. And it's very challenging because what works on one kid doesn't work on the other. It took me a while to figure that out. So
kind of like leading.
Yeah, it's like managing anybody. It helps. It really does help with that. And because it's the same thing, right? When you're dealing with employees, what motivates one doesn't motivate another, and you got to figure out. You got to get to know your employees like you get to know your kids, and what speaks to them and what works for them. So,
well, congratulations on that Florida Natty.
Thank you very much.
You guys were fired up about that.
Yeah,
the season.
Very hard fought team, and you can draw some business analogies out of that because they had a deep bench. Mm-hmm. Right. And I like to say we have a deep bench at Landmark Title.
Cool.
And I think you all have a deep bench over here. And that's very important. And that's what, if you look at what Florida did in those runs, they played good ball, but they just wore those teams down. And to be losing in all those games in the tournament, but then when it hit 4 or 5 minutes to go in the second half, and those other teams started to run out of gas and get sloppy and make mistakes. So I learned a long time ago, and I had to learn it the hard way, that you're better off having a deep bench and making less money as a company than you are trying to squeeze, and you've got you don't have enough crew to deal with the influx of business and to deal with, when people come and go, can they move away or whatever, or, somebody change in life circumstance takes another job. So it's been.
Yeah, that's a really good point to some aspiring entrepreneurs out there, which is definitely what we want to talk about next. But like how much time can you spend working in your business or on your business? What you've done is you've chose to build that bench, build that team.
And if I didn't, I'd be stuck in my business way too much, right? And when I started doing this, it was just me. I answered the phone, I processed it, I closed it, I post-closed it. It was just me for almost 2 years. Before
I've heard some good stories about some fun stories from that.
And it was wild. I mean, it was, and then the crash came and we lost everything and had to rebuild again in 2008 and reinvent ourselves with short sales. But, obviously when you start out in this business, no matter what business you start out in, if you start out on your own, you are 100% in the business and 0% on it. And then the goal as you're growing is I have to get to near 0% in it and 100% on it, because that's what my team needs me doing right now. And I'd say I'm probably about 90-10. I still have a few clients that have been my clients for years that'll call me and they just want my advice on something or my eyes on something. And so I'll stop and put my eyes on it. But I have a fantastic leadership team. Sherry Wise, our president, is top notch. I don't have to get involved at all in the day to day. We've got our vice president and general counsel, Rose Albert, who runs our legal department that helps LOs and agents with legal issues that arise, all throughout the transaction. We've got our vice president of marketing development, Britt O'Donnell, who does a great job with that team. We've got Katrina Baugh, who's our vice president of operations, who runs all the processing ops and post-closing. That's where the rubber meets the road, is in operations.
Right.
And then William Lee, who's our vice president of closers, who oversees the 25 closers that we have that are out there that are, your equivalent would be an LO. And that team is just unbelievable.
Well, you've done an excellent job of growing and scaling, but then also delegating those responsibilities so you can focus on kind of your skill set, which is obviously driving the business and innovating the business and the vision, but also business development is kind of your bread and butter.
Right.
And you do that better than everybody else. How did business development come to be so important to you and help you build this thing?
I don't know where I got it from. Everybody has their skill sets, but I've always been, I feel like, a good communicator and comfortable around people. And maybe it's from being that middle child and having a big family and talking to people as a kid, talking to friends of my parents. So I'm very comfortable talking to people.
You got big social battery.
Yeah, big and I'm genuinely interested in people.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely interested in helping people. It's just in my DNA. It's how I'm wired.
That's one of the things you can't really fake.
They'll sniff it out. You can fake it for a while, but eventually you can't fake it. And those people, you find out who they are, and they're out there, and there's a lot of them in our industry. So my big job now as CEO is business development, culture, helping to maintain the culture of our company, because you just got to take care of that. One or two bad people come in and can destroy your culture.
Yeah. Take years to build and days to lose.
You're absolutely right. Removing obstacles and barriers is another big part of my job, right? My closers have a problem. My time is there to help you try to solve it. So, that's what I spend my days on, and it's what I enjoy. But it didn't come easy. Giving up when you started out doing everything, and then you have to learn to delegate. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I would hang on for too long, and that held me back. And I've gotten really good at it now, but boy, that was the number one for me. It was delegating, because I'm such a grinder. Like I'll outwork anybody. Nobody can do it as good as I can. And I can't give that up because they're not going to do it. And I had to learn the hard way.
That's we talked to our top LOs are the worst at it. And I had to teach myself. And the last thing you delegate is the stress. That's the big step, is when you can start to delegate some of that stress so you're not feeling it 24/7, and that can free you up and keep you motivated, keep you positive. That's the hardest part. When we keep trying to tell them, like, you got to trust your team, you got to build your team.
And I had to learn too the hard way that there were things I wouldn't delegate because I would feel bad delegating, because I was like, it's so bad, nobody wants to do this. And then I learned that there are people out there that want to do things that I hate. And I do things that they hate, right? And so that was another one of those things that took me a while to learn. And my president, Sherry Wise, who's, again, I can't say enough great things about her, but we're such a great team because she would never want to do the things I do. And the things that she does over on the day-to-day side were the things that were my working frustrations. So to be able to hand things off is...
It's so good when you can find people to fill those gaps of what you're not, that's really what good leadership is finding people that are better at things than you,
right,
and entrusting them to do it, and empowering them to do it. That's my team here. I'm working on it every day, but I got Andrea, I got Andy, and they're really good at it. My organizational skills are mid, but I got Rob Maloney working on it with me,
A good team will help you identify your blind spots, because we all have blind spots. And one of the things we do at our annual meeting is we do an exercise where we help each other find our blind spots and we talk about it and how we're going to help each other. We focus a lot on team health. At our quarterly meetings, we do a quarterly out of the office and we do an annual 2-day out of the office, and we focus a lot on team health because it's so important.
So now let's talk about the future. I know you've expanded, just recently got a new office down in Melbourne. Yeah, joining us down there. Yeah. And, I hear you going out towards Pensacola, and you got an awesome brandy down in Flagler. So, what's the future look like for you? What's your goal? Keep expanding throughout the state, and what's next, and kind of what's your vision there?
Definitely no plans to go outside the state of Florida. There's just plenty of opportunity here, and I don't want to have to get on a plane to go anywhere. A couple of these offices have sort of fallen into our laps, and they were people that reached out to us and said, "Hey, I close. I'm a closer. I'm an attorney. Maybe it's a non-attorney closer." That they didn't want to do the operation side, and so we have such a great machine to plug them right in and handle the operation side and let them focus on doing what they do best, which is going out, business development, closing deals.
It's funny how when you work your ass off and you work hard, stuff falls in your lap.
I found that the harder I work, the luckier I get. But that's, Danielle in Melbourne. That's how we came across her, and Philip out in Panama City Beach. So I'd say we're looking and we're not looking. Like, the ideal expansion route for me, in my opinion, is straight up and down I-95. So we're in the 5 Northeast Florida counties: Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, and Clay. So we've got that covered with 9 offices. I'd like to get down Daytona Beach, Ormond, maybe, Cocoa. We're in Melbourne. Stewart, we're not in Stewart. I'd like to get there. We're in West Palm. So every hour or so on I-95, all the way down to Key West. To be honest with you, I had lunch with an attorney in Marathon, and if I could get a Key Largo, Marathon, and Key West office, that'd be pretty cool.
I'll road trip with you for that one.
Everybody at the office is like, "Oh, I'll go work at that one." But that's great because then I could just get in the car and just travel down 95. Clearwater and Panama City Beach are great, and we're not going to turn down an opportunity if one pops up in Gainesville or Orlando or anything like that. But the ideal sort of expansion for us is, I don't really want to buy another title company, because a lot of times you get employees there that don't do things the Landmark way. And that's a problem. You can't have an employee going rogue in another city, and our VP of Ops is here in Jacksonville and can't do anything to control it. So we run all our operations out of our 28,000 square foot building, a Financial Way. The entire second floor is operations, and we can support an attorney anywhere in the state of Florida. So when we go into a city like Marathon, the reason this was so attractive to this attorney in Marathon is because the biggest problem they have in the Keys is labor. Either lack of skilled labor, or, the weather's out, I'm going fishing. It's like, wait, no, we got 10 closings on.
So don't reinvent the wheel, like plug into our back office and let us do the work.
So there's an attorney down there, and his top 2 processors are nearing retirement age, and he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so one of my underwriters put me in touch with them, and I happened to be down in the Keys with my kids last weekend and drove the extra 50 minutes down to Marathon and had lunch with him and explained how we work. And he's just like, man, this sounds like a dream. I don't have to worry about that. So all I need in these other cities is a closer, an attorney, maybe non-attorney, doesn't, could be either one, and then receptionists, right? Somebody who's there to greet people and collect binders, and the rest of it we'll handle from Jacksonville.
Cool, awesome. Well, if you're out there and you're looking, I could tell you there's nobody better at it than David. He's amazing. He does care. He's passionate. Does a great job. Closes fast. Closes on time. Anything you need. So
I appreciate it.
I couldn't speak higher of a title company and a partner that we work with. So I thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you, Rob.
At Rounds Down Range.
Appreciate it, man.
The future is bright.
Thanks, man.